Joe, you there?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everybody. Get a roll call, please.
Address?
Here.
Hingham? Goodwin? Brown?
Here.
Yep.
And here. Okay, that brings us to approval of the agenda. We do have a blue sheet item, which will be item M for the M37 slope restoration. Pretty much a pass through. Motion to approve the agenda with the blue sheet. Ready? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We have an agenda. Any conflict of interest in this? Seeing none, we'll move to our next item, which is the first public comment. Is there anybody in the public who wishes to comment on the items of the day or not? Seeing no action from the public, it brings us to our item number 6, the action items, the appointments. The first public hearing, or the public hearing on the standards for driveway access over future road reserves. You have the paperwork is in your packet there. Call this hearing to order, and our order of business is I'll recognize each person wishing to make a presentation or ask a question about the change. Other than that, pretty much after that is concluded, we will conclude the hearing and go from there. So I open the hearing for the change, and the first items is staff report on it.
So we have taken this, the thing as we have. No changes were made since we approved it for the public hearing. This was reviewed by legal counsel. It does put into play the ability to have a single lot driveway approach off the stub of a dead end that is been formerly reserved for only being used when the development was being pushed into play. And at that point, then they would be required to have either a turnaround or a through road that would allow us to do winter maintenance. So what this does is this does not require them to put a turnaround at the end. It does not require them to have that through road, but it does mean that we will still not be able to do winter maintenance on that stretch of road.
Okay, is there any other staff items on this? And brings us to any written communications. Do we have anything to, nothing for the record? All right, that moves us into the public part of the discussion. Does anyone in the public wish to comment on this, yay or nay? Change in the standards. Seeing nobody jumping up, that will move us to the end of the hearing. I close this hearing, and I would entertain a motion if someone is so inclined to adopt the changes.
I'll make a motion to adopt Rule 11.16 interconnection to a budding property into our standards. Support. Excuse me.
All right, any discussion? Go around. Go, anything?
We can't do winter maintenance, you meant.
We just don't have a place to turn around the truck.
So therefore we don't go down there, but this particular case that facilitated this is actually an HOA plowing, correct?
Yes, the people that currently live on the road are paying for winter maintenance to
We
be
just
done.
create a problem in the future if it wasn't an HOA plowing.
So,
Would it create a problem for us in the future? Well, we're supposed to do it anyway.
We won't be plowing if there wasn't a turnaround.
Yeah, so if we're not doing it right now, I mean, if we can't do it without a turnaround, then it's not gonna change anything. Some places, we do have these that do not have driveways on them, and it just gets, we come around it, you know, or we come up to it and leave it as such. But there are a lot of them that do have driveways, and they typically have a private company come in and plow them, and then the people that are there split the cost for the plowing to have it all done.
And as soon as the landowner takes the parcel of property and splits it, or.
Then this,
then this-
the nature-
now going to be moved right
yes,
into-
the driveway permit is conditional on it being a single unit development. And as soon as anything goes beyond a single unit development, it would be no longer valid as a driveway permit, and it would have to go through the regular developmental process for connecting to an existing public road.
No, I'm good.
Alan? Well, I've kind of thought about it. I know we'll probably pass this, but I can't support it. And one of the reasons, I look back at some of the decisions we've made. This is a standard that exists for a reason. But one of the decisions we made even recently, I use as an example, is 4 Mile Road. There's a piece of property on 4 Mile Road that somebody's selling under what they paid for it because we didn't want to change a standard for them. And, you know, we have that standard for a reason. In that case, it was traffic speeds and the intersections that are offset become a problem, et cetera, yada, yada, yada. At least that's what we heard. This does invite further requests for changes. And I just don't believe that in this case, there's enough of a hardship justifying such a change, especially a change that's a little more universal. So, but that's just my 2 cents. If anybody has any other comments beyond this, then we can go to a vote.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that we didn't change the standard. It's not, the standard didn't address, in the standard, it didn't address this scenario. Right? So it's not, we're not adding to it. I don't think the standard was complete in the way that it was originally written because it didn't address this scenario. So we're not changing or modifying it for a specific condition. The way the standard was written is it didn't take into account single family driveways at all.
I disagree. I think that we are changing the standard. The standard was that in the event that was going to happen, there was to be a turnaround.
If a road was built or a road extension.
If a drive was to be built.
According to Carrie,
It's different.
according to Carrie, it did apply to drives too.
Yeah, it doesn't say that. I mean,
But that's what legally, she said that's what it did apply to, and that's why she had to change the
I
verbiage.
didn't say that, but I disagree. I mean, and that's why I disagree. But
I was under the assumption that our policy did not allow for a driveway to exit off the end of any of our stubs like that. If it was going to be a county road, and that was in the standards. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, this has been a change to what is defined under the state conditions of what a road end is and that, as far as how it applies.
Right.
And that's why that applies to the same thing.
Because typically county roads do not allow a private drive right off the end of it. It would be a dead end or a cul-de-sac.
Right.
Per the standards. So we are deviating from standards. We are deviating from standards, period, point blank.
well, they deviated from the standard when they built subdivision because the subdivision is built incorrectly because according to our standards, that road should have a cul-de-sac on the end of it. So yeah,
But that wasn't the standards back then.
Oh, it sure was. It absolutely was. When that subdivision was built, I was designing subdivisions and it was definitely I mean, we don't need to go backwards. I mean, I don't see us as us changing the standard. I see us as we've amended the standard to include a scenario that wasn't in reading my professional engineering opinion, and I'm not an attorney, but I would have fought that all day. So anyway.
The only other thing I have is I have some empathy for the landowners in this case that brought us to this thing because there's no other access to this parcel. Our new policy, our new adjustment to the policy talks about if there's a different access, we're not going to allow this. It's only because a piece of property is quite unique in the fact that the township really should have never let it get created that way, had they done their job. And we're addressing it. To me, it's a little bit of a property rights issue that I see a wrong that's done in the past, and I'd like to fix that.
Are we all set? A roll call, please.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
No,
Andrus,
Yes.
Gilman.
No. All right, so it passed. All right, we are now changed the standards. All right. That brings us to, and just so we can clarify, what is our next step now?
Now we have to do a public hearing to allow them to build the driveway, because the standards did not exist until just now. We could not post for a public hearing, but now that we have standards in place, we can post for a public hearing. So we will look at that and
Put that on the next
confirm,
meeting.
and we will have it either at the next meeting, or if we have a special meeting for any reason in between, then we'll do it at that.
Okay. All right. That brings us to our first appointment, Bill Zip. And Mr. Welcome aboard again.
Thank you, thank you. It's good to be back. I enjoyed the drive today. Nice and sunny, finally. Anyway, we're coming to the end of the Pell. The public hearing, as you know, was held a while ago. The date doesn't jump at my head, I don't know why. Anyway, the public hearing was held, public meeting was held, and we had very little attendance. We've got some comments. We're incorporating it all into the Pell document. The schedule on the Pell, we're gonna get that to staff in a week and a half. We're gonna get it to the board a few days later, and give you a couple weeks to take a look at it, and depending on, and we're also giving it to MDOT and Federal Highways as a draft, because they have a lot to say. We expect some comments from them, and our goal is to give them 2 weeks to review. But if you know anything about state and federal government, we'll see about that. I hope it goes well. We'll push them. It's not like this is the first time they've seen the project. We've had many conversations with them, so they know what's going on. I don't foresee anything major, but you know, can you add this exhibit here? Can you change this language here? Can you clarify this statement here? You know, I expect some of those kind of comments, but we should be wrapping this up in end of May, early June. Wish it would have been done a couple months ago, but you know, that's the way things go. But, yeah, we're doing well. Real excited about it. This is moving forward really well. And as you know, we were worried about survey and leaves coming on, so we asked, and you approved us to go out and do some advanced work. We did drone survey a couple weeks ago. That took a day. We covered the whole area. We are in the process right now of surveying the river basin itself along the Hartman-Hammond alignment, because we wanted to avoid leaves. We should be finished with that this week or early next week, and we did very well. So we'll look for anything strategic that we need to do. We'll look to come back and see if we got budget left. If there's anything we can do, we won't go ahead with any other scope work until we talk to you, but we do have budget left in which we gave you. So
when you're doing the survey work, are they looking for any geological issues that might arise? Is that a part of that process?
No, not necessarily, but they're pretty smart surveyors and they'll bring up issues if they see them. The geotech aspect of it won't, most likely, we're intending on doing some desktop reviews of the geological area because we know what kind of bridge we're looking at building. But as far as borings and anything in subsurface investigation, that won't come until design.
Okay.
But we will know.
Getting ahead of myself, that's.
Well, that's fine. I know you, Jason. I know where you stand on this job, and this is good. And you help us, and I like that. So anyway, we're moving forward, and I'm here just to basically give you a schedule and not necessarily apologize, but I wish that we had it done by now. We're looking at finishing it up early. The draft will be in my hands next week. I'll be seeing a draft of it and getting comments from our internal review and pulling it all together. I'll entertain any questions from you and
Moving forward.
Thanks, Bill.
oh, you're very welcome. I'm sorry I didn't put a map up like I usually do.
That's all right.
It's on the car if you want me to get it.
We miss it, but that's okay. All righty. That brings us to our 7:25, even though we're a little early, but you guys are here. The Ravenels are here. If you're ready.
So I think we just had a couple of questions with respect to rule 11.16. We're looking for clarification on the admin fees. I sent an email on the 18th to Brad that hadn't heard back. I'm assuming this means that we pay postage and we pay for the Record Eagle postings and such, but I really didn't. It seems vague to me, so I was looking for clarification.
Yeah, any costs that is borne by the road commission to accommodate the notification and scheduling of it will be your responsibility. So that will be 2 postings in the Record Eagle, is that correct? And then we also have the certified mailing that we have to do. And then there will be some administrative costs for Kylie to get all that coordinated, but we can get you, now that we actually have a standard and we know what we're looking at, we can actually sit down and put together that schedule for you. And we should have it sometime early next week of what it's gonna run. And we'll also be talking then about the time frame of when these things have to go out, because it's very specific. You can't do it too early and you can't do it too late. So like the first one has to happen and then you have so many days to have the next one, and they all have to fit into a narrow window before we actually have the meeting. And then but we can get that to you before any of the mailings go out. And so we'll know early next week.
Okay, and I did want to inquire on the date of the public hearing, because when you and I spoke on the 18th, you said 8 or 9 days after this has been
We
approved.
could as early if we have a special meeting scheduled, but we have, right now, we have nothing scheduled to my knowledge. We don't have anything happening, so it would be like whatever the.
And even so, the neighbors have to be notified.
Right, so we still have that, and now all that has to happen. So if we do it at our next regular scheduled meeting. What's that? May 26th would be the public.
Could I request that we have a special meeting? We're already 14 weeks into this. And we are.
If you have a special meeting, you would have also the cost of having all of them here. That would also have to be.
There was a special meeting for Old Mission and us in the month of March, and that did not occur.
Which one?
March 7th, I believe.
This is part of the standards, though, now that have been passed, that they just approved. So you are responsible for any costs that would be outside of the norm.
It's cost of notification, not cost of the meeting.
Well, I'll have to talk to our attorney on that, but
No, it's in writing, right? So it says the cost of such notice shall be the responsibility of the person requesting a permit. It does not say that we have to cover the cost.
and I will talk to our
I
attorney.
think a
how it
special
works.
meeting's at the leisure of the board. If this board wants to have a special meeting, I suppose we could do that. I for one don't.
Chairman Gilman, it's very clear to me that you don't like me, but to do the right thing doesn't require you to like me. Actually, leadership should have nothing to do with the fact whether or not you like me. It's to do the right thing. You know that we are one family. We could not afford a $200,000 cul-de-sac. And it's landlocked.
I said what I have to say.
Your arrogance astounds me. There needs to be additional oversight on this board. You have no business being a chairman.
You're welcome to approach the county commission.
I
and make these
absolutely will.
appointments. All right.
We're asking for a special meeting.
We are requesting a special meeting so that we can move forward with the home bill.
Do they request that to the board? I mean,
You guys-
the board, I mean, or do they request?
We have to decide.
It's up to you guys to schedule a special meeting. I can't schedule a special meeting. It's up to you to determine whether or not you're gonna have a special meeting. And at this point, the time frame of it, I don't know when it would fall.
Then why would you say 8 or 9 days to me on the phone?
That's the earliest it could be done, is what I said.
And we couldn't even set up a special meeting until the notice goes out anyhow. The notice has to go out, and the people have to be notified before we can even set a special meeting, because we don't know the
You
time.
can set
the
the date
timetable
for a
on that.
special
I thought
meeting
you
and
said
then
you
send out the
you
notice.
said all you said to say about this.
Yeah,
Okay, let's keep it
yeah, I
civil.
think,
Let's just keep it civil.
We're trying,
Okay,
we're trying
keep
very
it
hard. This
civil.
this is
You can,
affecting our
just
lives.
keep it civil.
This is affecting our lives.
That's fine, but we are going out of our way to help you with your life. So let's keep it civil.
The
That's all
tone of
I
sit
ask.
down, shut up, and be
That's-
grateful is inappropriate.
Keep it civil, okay? That's enough.
I don't believe there's any other issues that we need to work on a special meeting with, correct?
We have
I
nothing.
would not support a special meeting until the next regular meeting.
yeah, I'm not against a special meeting. I mean, that's not part, but because it is a brand new, it literally just came into effect today, and I think the staff has to get up to speed with what the process is gonna be, the notifications, the neighbors. I mean, I think to then, like, in 2 weeks, try to pull all this together, I think that is just in the with the fact that it's all new and giving everybody the time to understand that, make sure that we do it right. I mean, at the next meeting, I'm more than happy to do it, but it's not that I'm against a special meeting, but I want to make sure everybody has the time, the neighbors have the time, so we can follow the standard that we just had and not rush it through and you might be upset, but I don't want a room full of
I understand.
17 other upset people because they weren't notified.
They all got mailed
Ahead of-
for this
ahead of
one,
time.
and you can see how many showed up for this one.
And that's fine, and I know, and I get it, I get it, I'm not opposed, again, I'm not opposed to the special meetings and everything, but again, I just want to make sure that our staff and everybody, because it's new, everybody and all the people that have to be involved with it have the understanding of what we need to do to accomplish, it, so that we do it right, 'cause I don't want
Would we typically
to
have,
save 2 weeks to,
would we typically have a permit fee to cover all the things that this is gonna? I know we have a lot of different permit fees, and I haven't studied our schedule, but would there be a special fee of $750 to do this or something that we just wrap this up and?
I don't have the fee schedule in front of me, but I know you guys typically, we have, certain guidelines that our fees fall under because of the standards that the state is trying to make, so that all counties are doing fees approximately the same. And there are some things that we can adjust, and you can definitely adjust them and add if need be, but I don't know of anything right now that would cover this specifically. I mean, when you start talking about private roads, that's at least the $500 minimum.
Conceptual review fee is $250.
Yeah, and then a regular review. So there's all kinds of different fees, and I don't have them off the
Well,
top of my
I think
head.
sometime we should have something for this, for something like this. We should put in the future. And I think next month at this time would be soon enough for our special meeting myself. I'm for what you're doing, but I think next month is
No, the normal.
the
regular.
normal thing. I think that's fine.
Anything else? Our next appointment is Dan. Mr. Olson, what do you have for us today?
Two-part. First, I'd like to post a letter
Should be 6 copies.
I had a scheduled meeting. First thing I want to talk about is an issue that has come up with our HOA returning access to our lots. I had a meeting scheduled today with your superintendent, manager, and manager. Only the superintendent was able to attend that meeting. We had a chance to discuss this, and I just want to bring it to the board's attention because of some comments that were made as far as feedback on that. And so this letter, it's lengthy. I don't expect you to read the whole thing right now, but just to kind of give you background, when I first started kind of engaging with the road commission, we had that site visit. Mr. Brown may recall, we talked about putting in a gate at the south closure to allow us to have access. And we've been, requesting that type of access. This past spring, we worked out the access issue as far as a permit. So your road manager to grant us access, issued us a permit. The permit language permits the vehicles to go there, but a condition of that permit was for us to carry liability insurance. So we obtained that, and the road commission is insured up to $1 million as per that permit requirement and continues to be. But the reason for kind of requesting a gate access is last summer we dealt with the barricades and we were moving them and moving them back. And as I kind of described, in the last 2 paragraphs, last summer, what we learned was barricades are constantly getting moved by other people. The bikers move them off to the side. We move them back. And over the course of the summer, the barricades deteriorated to the point where your road crews had to come out this past spring and kind of replace them all and fix them up. Half of our HOA membership are retirees, and they have a hard time moving those barricades. Certainly, some of the members, if they're going down there alone, can't. You have to, pick up the sandbags, move the sandbags, and you got to pick up the large barricade and move that off the legs, and then move the legs, and then it's harder to dismantle it than it is. It's harder to re-put it together than.
So we've satisfied, we've gotten you taken care of insofar as access, but not yes, right? Currently, you have to move things.
Correct.
And that's a problem.
Right.
And as you say, I mean, there are people who might not have the ability to move that as easily. And also, frankly, it's a little sloppy that way. Good point. Any thoughts on the board on this? I mean, what he's suggesting essentially is that we install a gate instead. Is that our responsibility to install a gate? And I'm just trying to put that out there. It's a $1,500 cost, according to the quote that you got.
Yeah, I got that from the owner of Affordable Fence, and I don't know if you guys have other vendors that, or you may already have it. It doesn't have to be a 16-foot gate. That was a 16-foot gate I priced out. A 12-foot gate works too. But his price includes he understands you would have to drill into the asphalt, and he would have a post behind it to support the single arm so that it doesn't teeter back and forth.
And clearly, the beginning of this is legal reference saying, look, we have access to our property. We're supposed to have access to our property from the road.
And the reason I included that, and I gave the same letter, but addressed to your superintendent, I addressed this letter to you folks. One of the comments that your superintendent mentioned is, describing that we have a separate identifiable interest in the general public in accessing that. He indicated that, there's also the public perception issue that the public may understand. So I want to make a record for the public, this can be included in the minutes for next week or next month. Just so if the public looks at like, why is the HOA getting access to this closed portion of the road, they can understand that the owners.
Because it's the only way you can access that platform of land that you have where you store your docks.
And it goes with the deeds within the plat, and there's a legal basis for it so that they're not seeing that there's this kind of special treatment being given. As far as the gate itself, it's still your road, and if someone were to try to do something to the gate, they would be doing something to a road commission gate, which is an offense, misdemeanor, as opposed to, a private citizen that's just, we don't have the authority to put a gate over your road.
So is this, without having, this 3-page letter is essentially you asking us to put up a gate across the road.
That's-
I didn't have time to read it.
Nutshell.
And I'm like,
Just read the last paragraph.
We don't pay him either, okay?
Got it, all right. Okay, I just, because I didn't have time to read it, and you see footnotes and legal things, I'm like, all right, what are we?
I get it though, this, because
No,
I get what
this
he's,
is
I know
better
it
for us. I mean,
I
honestly, if
get
we
it.
get
No, I get it, but I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah.
Is this?
This, that we're talking, this is.
proposal just for the south end then?
Yes.
Because I haven't read this at all, Dan. I
Yes,
think.
the south end only, and your road manager can confirm this. Well, we've always never gone further than the edge of our driveway. in the
Parking
lot.
water.
Parking lot area.
Because the scarf issue, that further up is, it's far more treacherous, whereas the southern end, we basically skirt over kind of on the shoulder and drive past
And
that.
are our barricades and fences and stuff holding at the north end because we don't have the traffic? They're not moving or doing anything. Are we
Well,
okay at the north end or do we
the
need to
north-
address the north end also?
The biggest thing at the north end is on the one side, they have a little bit wider of an area that they can sneak around, which is kind of grassy.
On the
but-
inside?
Yeah, on the
Okay.
inside against the hills. So people do go through there. We do have them move occasionally, but it's not as bad. It's the southern one is because of the nature of that wet area there too, so. But, and you're talking about, for a $1,500 date, to not have to have our guys go up there. To have reset the barricades.
$1,500 for a set of
Well,
barricades.
yeah, we just refurbished them, but yeah, so
But time and traffic.
Yeah, but moving
We
it.
had all the other
doing all
stuff
that,
was
yeah.
more than, right?
Is there any legal issues, a barricade versus a?
We would have to have it reflectorized and striped. That's the only thing. We'd have to have a hanging, we'd have to have a hanging 8-inch panel going across it.
And I would assume a guy could have fixed that there pretty easy.
Yeah.
That reflector.
Is there gonna be a lot?
Yes, it's locked. That's.
Yeah, so the idea would have a combo.
The
that-
combo would be
that-
good
that-
because
that
that's
would be
access, that's not
Agent
requiring.
only,
have a key to
our
our
fire dispatch could have it, and you folks would have the same combo. It would be
Make a motion, we get the gate done.
I'll support it.
Motion to support by
You actually
Carol.
don't need a motion, just tell me.
We don't. Oh, that's true.
I think it's
Oh,
for
because
everybody.
we could just tell you to do that,
We'll
if
get
it's
it.
not much money.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Those things right away, they're just gonna go around.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got consensus.
I waste money.
We should be paying this guy.
Don't twist the arm too much.
What's number 2, Dan?
Another So, I noticed on the GEI update, we just wanted to offer a little bit, but we weren't there for the visit. And there was, there may have been questions that GEI had from some of the descriptions. We just kind of wanted to offer some comment on some of the things that GEI observed. And because I think to a reader that's not familiar with this might have, concluded on the, like, a number 1, that it was non-continuous. The work we did was continuous. It was just, we didn't cover the entire stretch of affected road because, or shoreline, just because it's not our property. So just some points of clarification. So I just offer those to you folks. But at the end, I guess the one thing I wanted to bring up, and this kind of gives a little bit of an update of our volunteer meeting, is the comment of GI will wait further direction from the road commission. I guess our comment and question is kind of both as a member of the volunteer team in the HOA. The GEI phase 2 and 3 had several taskings. There's kind of set forth on page 2, and we're just wondering if the road commission can provide an update on where GEI stands on these particular taskings. And particularly the slope modeling would be of particular assistance to the volunteer team, as well as concept level drawings, because what we're trying to do on the volunteer team is find sources of funding. We're not trying to reduplicate the engineering aspects, although we've kind of, I think, gotten a little distracted with that, but we're working with Andy Smith to come up with what's the drainage going to look like. But we don't know what the slope modeling looks like and what kind of shore revetment costs we're looking at. And so I just was wondering if we can get.
It's hard to put a plan together if you don't have all the information.
Yeah, so just wanted to offer that up.
Right, so I can tell you that, you know, I'm sorry about today. For some reason, it wasn't on my calendar. I don't know how that happened, but it wasn't on my calendar. So I'm sorry, I did not know it was happening. But Wayne has been out this week and he is back next week. So he and I have time set aside to go over this next week. But then the following week, I'm gone for 4 days. So he's gonna be working after we sit down and talk. He'll be working the next week to get the things. And then we're gonna talk to GEI directly sometime in the week of the 16th.
Okay.
We're supposed to sit down and talk to them and see, okay, what's the next phase of how do we get this done and what do we need to do?
Okay.
So, and at that point, after the first meeting with them, I don't know what's happening with the township meetings yet. I know you guys were still talking back and forth with that. Because at that point, then we need to sit down with that group and start talking, you know, how is this all gonna pull together? And Wayne will be attending those meetings.
So, yeah, so our meeting's May 9th.
May 9th.
For that. So if whatever information Wayne has,
Yeah,
he'll be share with the group at that time, and that would be great.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a member of the team, I'd like to focus my efforts on helping finding funding. So, you know, I think we need hard numbers on some of these different components. And then we can, you know, look creatively to see what lots of money are there. I know there's the ARPA funds that are being thrown out there by the county. And how do we, you know, how do we want to spend those monies? And there may be parts of this project that would fit within that. So we're looking forward to trying to pursue those avenues. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Dan. All right, that takes us to our next section, which is the consent calendar.
Consent calendar is used to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together without discussion. Request by any person present to remove any item from the consent calendar for full discussion as an agenda item are automatically respected. The action noted in parentheses for all items remaining on the consent calendar are approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. The manager recommends the following items be adopted. 1, minutes. 2, payroll. 3, accounts payable. 4, financial reports. And 5, reports and communications.
Would there be anybody in the public who'd like to pull anything from the consent calendar? Seeing no interest there, how about from the board? All right.
I'll make a motion to
Carl?
accept the consent calendar as presented.
Second. Carl and Kevin. Oh, Joe, sorry. Okay. Kylie?
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Andrus,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Hillman.
Yes. All right. Nothing removed from the consent calendar, so we move to item D, the HMA bid.
I'm gonna let Jay take it since he's here.
Okay.
All right, we didn't know for sure if he was gonna be kind of worried sometimes.
Just didn't stay out on the roads long enough, you know?
So there was a public bid and an opening for our small project style HMA. This is for pothole patching and wedging. Of the participants, all the participants came forward with valid and competitive bids. So we're recommending that the bids be awarded to all participating parties based on geographic responsibility and the distance to the work site.
I'll make a motion. Joe? To accept it. Kevin?
Yeah.
All right. Any discussion? All those, that's a bit, Kylie?
Well, we're not spending money yet.
So we're approving money, but okay.
Yeah, you don't have to do
Okay.
it.
It's not gonna, yeah, chances
fine.
of it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are approved for the HMA bids to all bidders. Next is the long line painting and symbol painting. And we have some documents also in your some handout items.
And this, these bids were received, and we are recommending that we award it to the lowest responsive bidder. because in the past, depending on what their availability is, some of these contractors have said, well, we can make it there, but it's gonna be 2 months. And we don't wanna wait 2 months, so the prices were comparable and very close on all items. So we would recommend that the board approve bids and based on who is responsive at the time we need the pavement markings done. We will go with the low if they are able to do it, and if they are not, we'll move to the other.
They are pretty close, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very close.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Motion to accept that recommendation from the.
And I can live with that. Alrighty. Joe.
You changed your name, did you? Joe?
You're pulling a ventriloquist thing on you. All right. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we've accepted that management recommendation.
All right, so the next one is not anything you need to approve. I just want to make sure that we understand that we did get something from Dan Walters. That yes, he will hold prices and he's guaranteeing us there will be no upcharge for the purchase of the trucks that we agreed.
What a guy.
So.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
He
so
said it's better. We
last
requested it, we got it.
yes, we followed through and then we just wanted to let you know.
That's great. All right, perfect, excellent.
All right, and then the next one, since Dan's here, come on up, Dan, let's talk about some furnaces.
All right. Thanks for coming up. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill.
See you guys.
We're looking at replacing the furnaces here in the admin building. Not currently having any issues. We're looking at like end of life cycle, about that 23 years of life cycle. We did have the furnace in the back building went out on us last winter. So that's when we started looking at, hey, it's probably time to start, replacing these furnaces. So we went out and went to bid, and we did have a few local bidders put bids in. I think Sheridan came in at the lowest bid that actually met all specifications.
Sure.
Yeah, Sharon Plumbing and Heating.
Well, that's quite a difference.
Yeah, between all three of them, there's substantial
Well, 8,000
differences.
on the one, down up between the first and second.
And then,
And
Definitely some concern there. Went through the bid specs pretty tightly, did follow up with everyone, and they are assuring that they are gonna be bid specified.
They all bid the same furnace.
And this is
yes,
full HVAC, right?
the air conditioners were recently replaced.
Right.
So this is just the furnaces in the basement.
You said
And
these are
it changes
23
in-
years old?
Yes.
We're on 23.
So they might even, I'm just,
you got the life out of them.
It's either you or me, Joe.
yeah.
Motion to
Joe.
For our 17,632 plus or minus for four new furnaces.
Well, I'll support.
And support by Carol. Good job, Kevin. Kylie?
Brown,
Yes.
Stay up there.
Andrus?
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes. All right.
Okay,
Precision.
for the trucks that we have coming in and that need to be upfitted to be turning them from a cabin chassis into a snowplow. We did receive the pricing from Truck and Trailer up in Moline Falls. And it is a substantial increase over last year. I mean, substantial.
What was last year's about? How much?
142.
That's, yeah, 50 grand.
And so there are a couple of things, yeah, there are a couple things that have changed. And I'm gonna let Dan go through what's actually changed in the specs, but in addition to that, we're noticing, they said basically was it 10 to or 20 to 40% increase in all snow.
20%, 40% on all items. Depending on what it was. Our biggest issue is it's mostly made out of stainless steel.
Well, this is gonna be one of those situations where we have to do this right now, but we're gonna have to talk about our time in and not time out on the trucks if it's gonna be that much more.
And this is one, Dan, if you can explain the differences
Sure. So
between.
there's a couple factors that are going on. Obviously, the first one is the parts increase of 20 to 40%. Truck and trailer builder is experiencing the same issues we are with staff, so we get up to his labor rate $5 an hour. And then the other thing is we're moving into a different cycle of trucks. Before it's a Desmore, which is a fixed mounted with a flight chain. Now we're moving into replacing RDSs, and the RDS is a dump body with a flight chain in it, like a live flight chain. So there's an increase. There's about $15,000 there between the difference. And bodies.
It's a front discharge too, right?
It is.
Let me ask you, did they hire engineers?
Front or back?
Oh.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
And the whole idea with these is these are trucks then that are usable for us in the summer.
Very usable for doing shoulder work, offload.
So we have an advantage at least.
Yeah, so, and that's 15 of that price, but still there is a substantial price increase, and we are definitely gonna be monitoring that.
Good thing
as-
we have a wash bay, right?
Well, that's another thing that Dan and I talked about, the difference between the Kingsley trucks versus the trucks up here. Very
Notice
noticeable.
the difference, and actually, we've toured a few other road commissions and looked at the exact same year trucks, and they are night and day difference of what ours look like compared to theirs. You can't believe they're the same year truck. The truck wash is starting to pay off.
So do we need to run the Kingsley trucks up here once a month or something?
We are changing that. We are gonna make sure that they are coming through at least once a week during snow
Even a
season.
swap off or maintenance or whatever it has to be,
Well, that would make sense. I mean, that's still, yeah, you're paying the guy to come back and forth for that, but the life of the truck.
Several $100,000.
Yeah, and it's definitely, like you said, it's
Yeah.
noticeable, and we've only had that up and running really
Yeah.
for a little over 2
Motion
years.
to approve the
Alan?
bid for the bodies for $580,837.
Kevin support. Alan and Kevin.
Good job, Joe.
Didn't even see your lips move, Joe. Kylie.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
and Gilman.
Yes. To board policy stuff.
These are the ones we gave you guys to look at that specifically apply to you. And we're looking for feedback as to what, if anything, you want changed on these policies and how you want to deal with them coming forth as we start modifying policies, and we're gonna be able to start getting back into that here now that we're starting to catch up, so.
We're gonna go through all four of them. Is that what it was, four of them?
That's, yeah, this is a discussion of you, and we're gonna have her ready to take notes, and you guys make the decisions.
Well, code of ethics, is that?
Code of ethics is first on my list. Is
Okay.
that- And I was asking you, why do we have this, the county has a code of ethics?
Okay, in my, we looked at the counties and we modified things that the county had, and this goes back whenever we drafted this one here. I'm not quite sure how far back this one goes, but,
We did. We updated it in 18.
in 18, and we made changes that we felt fit the road commission differently than it did the county commissioners. So that's why, because at one time it was mirrored to the counties. And so we made some changes that, and I can't remember that far back, almost 4 years ago. But that's why we did not just follow and adopt the counties. We looked at theirs and changed some of the things that we felt back then fit the road commission better than the county commissioner. So I guess that's, and any of these other changes, I mean, if somebody has changes, I mean, like I said, we had went through all of these. And I think most of the stuff the county had, we kept, but we did either add or delete a couple of things. I think you were here.
And this was before me.
Okay.
I didn't start until February of 19, and this was done just
Okay.
before I got.
Okay.
I believe the county has also recently gone through and updated the
Changed
policies.
theirs.
I have no idea what their new code
Oh,
says.
okay. So. And I'm fine with this one unless
Is it-
somebody wants
is
to
it-
change it.
Because I learned that today. Is it possible to wait on this one so we can?
We can wait on all of these.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys. We just put them in front of you. If you want to put these off till
We can
next
change
month.
them anytime we want to change them.
Because of fact.
In fact, we're gonna be discussing, our retreat whenever we decide to set that up. It might even be something that we could take a look at, anything that affects us at that retreat as well. Because I mean, I think there are things that we're gonna bring to it. It's not gonna be staff driven, it's gonna be commissioner driven. So,
The only comment, I pulled the one out from when we looked at it in January, and it's nothing's changed.
No, we haven't made any changes.
Okay, good, because I'm like, this is exactly the same.
Yeah, no, this is.
It's like,
It is.
I just still make the same comment in the fact that you have 10 Is and then you have 10 we's, and they say exactly, they're identical. And one just, so either just make it 10 and say I/we.
And that would be fine.
Instead of having
Yeah.
22 bullet points, it could be on one page and be 11 bullet points and be done with it. So I mean, it's just, and then again, is it I personally, or we as a board are?
Both ways.
So it should just be we,
It certainly
and then
could
just
be.
have one sentence instead of you saying the exact same thing, it's just that one starts with I, one starts with we.
And if downtown's changed and it fits, why would we even do it?
Well,
Because we would automatically follow right there.
no, not necessarily.
You're a separate board.
Yeah. We're
I
entirely,
think the more we can mirror what downtown,
maybe not.
maybe
I
mirror
don't
that.
know.
I think that's my
Maybe
opinion.
it's a study session.
That
Well,
could
again,
be on
yeah, I
that,
just-
yeah, but because,
I don't think it's
because,
that complicated. It's just,
No.
we need to sit down and look at it as an item. And, if you don't want to, do anything on it right now, we don't have to do anything on it right now.
we can wait and get a hold of the company and see what it says.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That sounds good.
No problem with that.
So we'll just, you guys will take care of it when you sit down and we'll get, we can pull together whatever information we need to pull together for you, and then you guys can discuss it when you sit down with for your half day or full day or
All right.
full weekend, whatever it is, you guys.
Easy.
Sans any other discussion on that, so let's move on to item J, employee retainment recruitment.
Hold on here.
We're gonna go through the rest of it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think,
Did you want to go through each of the?
well, I think we do, because I think we want to, I think there's something that I want to talk about a little bit and
Okay.
on at least the per diem one. I don't know if anybody else has got any comments on any of the other ones or not.
The only, communications say it's your problem, but on the tablet usage, we probably gotta change that.
Yeah, we don't have-
Electronic device.
We don't have iPads.
Yeah,
We didn't.
We-
broad.
right, we
I
switched
don't have
to-
an iPad.
Electronic device.
right.
We all have Google
Yeah.
Chrome,
yeah, exactly.
Dell.
And I
That
had
was
that,
my only
right.
from last time.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about pretty.
Yeah, because, which, I mean, most of this isn't gonna, it's gonna affect more, you guys more so than me, because my term comes up at the end of December, so. But these dollar amounts haven't changed since I've been here in 12 years, and I don't believe that the annual amount, which the county board had set, had changed for quite a few years prior to that. So I don't think that any of those dollar amounts had changed. The mileage one, we've always went by the IRS amount. But I think that the annual stipend should be at least looked at. And then how, I mean, we have a cap of $90 a day for per diems. There's no cap on the mileage, but $90 per day, 35.20. And that to me seems ridiculously low.
So short of the numbers, would the policy then fit? I mean, are you saying just?
Well, I think how we do it and how we, we've got a whole list of approved,
Right.
approved ones. And the way it's set up is if I would put something down, you have the option to say no, if it's not on that approved list as the chair. That you didn't feel would fit, we could have discussion on that, but it's right in there that the chair, and in your absence, the vice chair approves those ones, and I think that's fair. And I think most anybody that's sitting on here is not gonna put one in because you ran to the store or something, I mean, it's gonna fit a road commission need. So I, you know, I don't think that part of it needs to change, but I think we need to talk to the county board about the annual amount that you guys are.
Well, honestly, if the county board's already moved it to 45, I mean, do you know what the numbers are for the county
I
board?
just pulled it up on their website, but it's dated March of 20th, 2019.
Okay.
And they have section 1 that talks about county commissioners, then section 2 is committee, board, commission, and authority members other than county commissioners. And it kind of mirrors up the top, and then on line C of that one, it says per diem is set at $35 per meeting. All day conferences will be $70. So unless they have something new that's not on the website, that's kind of what our policy was kind of built at.
So somebody was coming up with a $45 number.
You might have said 35, I misunderstood it.
Okay.
I was chatting.
And we're at 35 right
We're
now.
at 35 right now.
35.
Because
So
I don't
how
think
much
they
you say a day that they have?
It's for a full day meeting, it's 70, but if you have 3 separate meetings,
It's, okay,
it can be 90.
Yeah.
I see, so.
I would like to look at, I mean, we're looking at the entire organization for compensation.
Yes.
So if we're gonna do that, then we should look at all compensation, including ours. Because if you're gonna do it now, it's time to do it.
Could I indulge the board then to move into this next section and have as a part of this discussion our compensation as well? Because there's gonna be an amendment that we're gonna have to make for the process, and I don't imagine you would have too hard a time accommodating budget amendment for staffing. So if you'd like, we could move into that, have the discussion, and then see if we couldn't if we have any suggestions for changes, see if we couldn't send it for approval to the county board.
Yeah, that's, I think, what we need to do.
Okay.
And then I did see one other thing in here that I circled and want, it's under item 3 here. And it says regular meetings are not eligible for per diem, which we know that. But the next sentence there says mileage at IRS standard rate for use of cars allowed.
We haven't been,
We don't get that.
we haven't, no. we
No,
haven't
but
been
it's
getting-
in here, so
We haven't given you that.
Well, we've been getting it for other meetings.
For your
special
meetings.
But for special meetings.
For regular meetings.
Nope, nothing for the
You
regular.
don't put it on the green sheets. We've been adding it at the end of the year if you've attended it. So Kylie gives us a list of all the commissioners.
Oh, so that's how that is. I did not know that either.
Well,
Oh, well, that's a new one on me. I didn't know
Learned
that.
something today.
Because I read this here and I'm going, I haven't,
That's why you don't put it on there, so we don't double.
oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know. I was reading it and I'm going, I didn't know that. So, okay. Okay, well, I guess I got educated tonight.
So,
It's taxable because it's coming here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
so let's move into then the employee retainment recruitment, and we gotta take it from there.
And did Larry have this on this?
Yeah, let me get it up there.
So, after we talked last meeting, we did put together some information for you. There is a spreadsheet, which is very, very tough to read.
It
at this
is.
Scale.
All right, let me.
100-year-old eyes.
So, and then today we handed out to you an additional sheet that we used. And that just talks about where we have people currently and where we could end up with positions through either people advancing or through people or through us needing new positions as we become an MPO. So the vacant are things that people could be gaining experience and moving up. And they could move from a technician 1 to a technician 2, technician 3. What this also does is it breaks out for you the types of positions that are in those. So we have traffic signal technicians under the technicians, the information technologies system technician, engineering technician, and an environmental technician would be in the future as we move into MPO status, depending on what type of grants and whether or not we can actually, if we're actually going to need them. We don't know at this point because we don't know exactly how much money we're going to get out of the MPO as to how many different projects we're going to have and what the new requirements are going to be for the archaeological and environmental impacts that happen with projects. So we have then our engineers, which we currently have a civil engineer vacant. The information technologies engineer would be a future position if we start taking on more of the responsibilities. Potentially a traffic engineer as the county develops and we have more and more signals. And we have the assistant highway engineer. We have accepted we have an acceptance from somebody and they're going to be starting on the 16th with us.
Good.
He's been around Traverse City for quite a while, and he's had his own private business for a lot of years. But he's just kind of at the point now where instead of working 70+ hours a week, he wants to slow down and not quite work that way. And he wants to be more of a working in a group instead of working on his own a lot. It's been very tough for him to get employees also. So
He'll be working with the townships.
yeah, he's going to focus, a lot of his work is going to be focused on the townships.
Is the name,
Jim and I.
Whoa.
What's the last name?
Granddad used to say, get a county job. It's a good thing to do.
So, we also then, we have our surveyor, we have permit agents, a procurement agent, a public relations agent. Those really can be combined with different people depending on what's happening. They may be needed in the future, but we don't know right now. So, and as you go through, you can see all the different things. We have the actual metropolitan planning organization staff that we probably are going to need. And that's something that would be funded through the federal funding of the MPO type situation. So as you move across, we have our technical fields, which are divided here. You've got your technicians, your engineers, your surveyors, and your agents. Those are permit agents. Then you have your administrative. We have our receptionists, our clerks, and the MPOs, which we don't have right now. Supervisor and managerial, we have the foreman, the supervisors, and the individual department managers, and then I'm sitting off to the right. So I have not put anything in here at all for myself. This is not about me, this is for the staff. So it's not my position to say what my pay is, that's your job. So I just want to make sure that our staff has a fair compensation level. And so that's what we put together here for you. And we feel it's going to put us back into a more competitive state, and we'll be able to hopefully keep some people and get some people in here. Minimum increase is 3.6%, and it goes up as high as like 10% roughly, as we discussed last meeting.
Any questions on the tier chart?
No.
Okay, the only just coming from a, the public relations agent thing, I mean, you're talking if we get into the MPO?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And the procurement agent, I mean, these guys right now, they're, our supervisors, Phil probably kicks in his 2 cents. I mean,
Yeah.
when we're going out to buy things now.
Right. And so what we're looking at is as we start having more and more things happening and we start developing, we start having more signals and more things, to have one person who can focus. That's not their only job, but that would be their title. They would manage all the bids and gather all the bids. And that would help us with our bid process too, to get somebody who's standardizing how all of our bidding process.
Okay, and then when you have this, is this something where, so from a hierarchical, I mean, is a procurement agent somebody that works for the
Typically.
the math brain, the accounting brain? Okay, I'm just trying to keep these things in my head and everything.
And so like, if you look at the technician, you've got a traffic signal technician who's working for Wayne. You've got an information technologies system technician who's working for Larry. And then you've got, 2 other engineering type technicians. Then you also get down into some of these, the permit and violations agent. That's somebody who's working under Wayne. But then the next one, the procurement would be working for Phil. The public relations could be working either for, you know,
You,
me
maybe,
or
you could-
whoever, I mean,
I
wherever.
mean, you should be
it is.
assuming some of what you do. I mean,
Right.
that's
Helping out
naturally,
to get
that's
the
okay.
natural
All right.
progression. So, you know, these don't say where they fall under who, but those are your,
No.
at the bottom, your managers,
Just-
those are
just
the
trying to
6
think ahead of it,
positions
that's
we have.
Okay. And so next is the math.
Well, yes. And now let Phil go through that for you.
Want to bring that up?
Other one?
Yeah. the next-
I'm sorry, did I jump over your,
No, you can.
No,
I don't want to take you on a turn or anything.
so in the board packet, I had a budget amendment. Pretty much a focus solely on labor, but we did get our final millage payment in for the year, so I kind of threw that up. There was a additional $51,000 that came in than what I originally budgeted, so but I put that all into the project, so when they go out and bid our millage projects this year, we'll have, you know, some more funds to go towards that. I also looked at the MTF revenues. Year over year, states about 2% higher than their estimates. And then back in February, they updated their estimates for fiscal year 22. It was about 2.8% higher than what they thought it was a year ago, back in 21. So I picked up another $351,000. Basically, I plugged in our allocation factors into their formula for the revised numbers and budgeted, you know, for there. So we'll continue to monitor that, but that was an increase of $351,000. So the only other expenditures that I looked at was labor and benefits. So we were basically 4 months into the year, and with the restructured wages, if you will, that'll be in effect for another 8 months of the remaining year. So I went through, used the exact same template that I used to develop the original budget, put in the new rates for the remaining 8 months, and kind of true it up with those individual amounts would be. I also, so we added 2 positions. And those were in engineering and traffic services slash admin. It's the GIS tech and another engineering tech. We also increased the original budgeted positions for our engineers to maybe attract a more experienced engineer. So I kind of got a budget number on the high end on there. Just kind of give us, you know, some cushion, and that fits well within the tier structure that we saw on the slide before. Wage increases range between 3.6 and 9.3% for the crew. There were a few individuals that fell outside of the new tiered and admin, so they are getting a little bit of a bigger bump. There was a couple of credits. We had a surveyor that moved to part-time that had originally budgeted full-time, so I reduced that one. And our traffic services supervisor is now a tech, so that wage, you know, got reduced. So overall, not the same person.
No, I understand.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I didn't think, I was gonna say, I didn't think that was gonna work very well.
Position change. That's great. So the sheet you see is just for the remaining 8 months of the year. It'd be an net increase in labor of $275,000. And then primarily the, you know, defined contribution, Social Security, Medicare, you know, that gets added on, that'd be another 45,000. So the total expenditure increase was 320,000. One other thing I just didn't mention, they wanted to do a little more summer work. So we increased the overtime for the crew and shot by another, let's see, 2,200 hours. So that amount increased the budget another $71,000.
We're still playing catch up on that anyhow.
We're gonna be for a few more years trying to get these ditches.
So overall, yeah, 320,000 in the packet. I did have it broken out by all the activities based on the original budget. So, you know, if it hit fringe benefits or admin or, you know, whatever it was, it recalculated the budget amendment number 2.
I can go,
Please.
okay. Okay, so you're feeling the 320,000, we have dollars to do that,
Yeah.
if we approve that.
Yeah, and like next year. so-
Okay, well, that's right. You're a mind reader. Because next year it's 500,000, not 320.
Not,
Well, sure it
It's
is.
a whole year, not 8
It's
months.
12 months, not 8 months, so it's 500,000.
well.
480,000.
But yeah, but 70,000 was overtime. I didn't.
I didn't put the 70 in there.
No, that 70 is in the 320.
Okay.
So just comparing apples to
Okay,
apples, if
yep.
we were to have started the year with the same overtime, you know, just with these new rates or
So
labor.
this is a window into a year, not 8 months.
This here is 8 months.
That's 8
I also looked at it, what would it have been if we started January 1st?
That's
budgeted
where I
at
was
these
heading
new
for
rates?
next year.
Okay.
So the increase was $302,000 on labor and another $66,000 in benefits. And that was a 12-month.
So we're 400.
370,000,
Okay.
which is about 7.2%
Increase
increase from where we started.
from this year.
Yes.
And that then takes into account, that does not then have any upscaling of overtime. This year, we've been short of people for the entire year.
Right.
So to make this up, we really need to get that. And, you know, we may come back to you next year and say, hey, we need more in overtime for the budget. And we'll discuss that when the budget comes
Well,
around.
if you're paying them overtime versus hiring another person, some of that becomes a wash.
Right, exactly. And so,
Now, do we have room? Say, for example, we were to, let's jump into the commissioner's compensation because this is, you know, kind of a part of this, you know. Do we have room to do a modest increase for the 5 of us? And how much do you think? I mean,
Budget wise,
Yeah.
I can, yeah, because I still have, you know, we still have a little over 4 million targeted fund balance.
right, and I'm talking
But
probably. a
this,
total of
that would, any,
20 grand or
Under-
something.
any
that,
change.
Under 20,000 in a total
That
compensation.
would be real high, I think. What is it now? 55, 6 and 65? Is that what it is?
5, 6.
And do you know when that was set? Because I only could go back to 12 based on the documents you gave.
Well, I can tell you it was 12 years ago. It hadn't changed. So it's prior
it
to
was
that.
Prior to that too, correct?
Yeah, as far as
So
to
we're
my
probably
knowledge,
Looking at,
I don't know how far back behind that time frame it goes, but it was 12 years ago.
I could probably, you know,
Yeah,
go back.
so it's, you know, it hard.
but yeah, I mean, when you look at what he just had for what our revenue increase is on the weight and gas tax, even with adding yours in, we're still below the additional amount we're getting for weight and gas tax.
because you want to just go into it?
You go into it.
Because I was doing math and doing some study and talking to some folks, and I think our compensation is low. And if we adjust it now, it'll probably not be adjusted for another 20 years. That's what happens when you're on commission. And so I was looking at like an 8,000 floor, 85 and 9. On the per diems, I think that it would be wise for us to take a look at how the county board gets per diem. Eliminate the you know, it's $35.
What it is.
$35 when you go to a meeting. If we want to set an arbitrary for an all-day meeting, that's great. We're not gonna tie it to any future increases that the county board votes on. So if the county
far as
board
per
wanted to go
diems.
up $10 on per diem, then we would go up $10 on per diem.
Just
So we would
mirror it.
actually tie into the board downtown when they decide to increase.
I don't
there.
think you can set that, the county will have.
The county.
If you're gonna put,
Yeah, they're gonna petition.
What I'm saying is our
Right.
per diem would be, we would just, right now, we'd go to 35 across the board. And then if the county raises theirs, we would tie
but
ours
we
to
would still,
theirs.
the county would still have to approve that. You're gonna generate
The
something.
35, they don't, because that's already approved,
Right.
35 for me.
The county could set it any amount they want.
But I mean, we're approved right now at 35.
Yes.
Right, so if they went to 45, We would just automatically.
Well, that's if they approve it. If they
Right.
say and call
Right.
you out. So that what you need to do now is we have a budget amendment that needs to be addressed.
Okay, we
That
can,
covers all of the.
we can actually have the budget amendment made with what we would like out of this, because it,
And then there's one other person that we have not addressed in the room, and that's Brad. If we wanted to do something with Brad's.
Well, I think my thought is if we're gonna do the compensation for the board, that should be a separate thing that we vote on as a group to send down there for approval.
Yes.
The other one.
And if it gets approved, then I can come back with another, because I'm gonna have another
Right.
budget amendment.
This other one, if we're gonna approve that as a standalone, and then
well,
him as a
while,
standalone.
while it's on the floor, did you want to make a motion that we?
Well, do we want to take care of the staff and then come back and do that?
I'd like to take care of, I mean, it's our responsibility is our staff, so I want to take care of our staff.
So
and
I'll
not-
make a
and
motion
not
to
mud it
accept
up with
this
what
budget
we-
amendment to take care of the staff.
Okay, so the motion would be to
Approve the budget
approve
amendment.
the budget amendment and proceed with the recommended increases for staff.
Yes, and we will take care of the administrative implementation.
So it's Joe and
Along with the union stuff that you.
That's all the union stuff's already been signed off on. They're
Okay.
just waiting for you guys
Okay.
to approve this and then we'll.
we have a motion?
Support.
Support, yeah, okay.
Perfect.
All right, any further discussion on that? Again, thank you. I think, this had to be looked at, and frankly,
Yep.
So, Kylie?
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Andrus,
Yes.
Stillman.
Yes, okay. Thanks, Phil. Thank you. You put a lot of work into that.
Now we want
There's a lot of people.
Yeah, there was a-
Now,
Heather and Brad,
yeah,
we need figures on this, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we send
Send a
around the board,
Yeah.
send for approval
send for approval for an increase in
in base,
base
right,
compensation
base compensation for commissioners.
for 8,000, vice chair 8,500, chair 9,000. That's what we have to give downtown, right?
No, you still have to ask for, if you want to be tied to theirs, you would ask to be tied into their per diem.
And that our per diem would increase with theirs
And be mirrored.
at such time that they would increase theirs. Would mirror their increases.
So,
Equal, whatever.
hey, Kylie, can you read that back?
It's recorded.
All right, all right.
Does that make sense to everybody? So basically, our per diems would match whatever the county commissioners get.
Do I have a support on that?
I'll support.
Okay, Carl?
We're so young.
Yeah. Okay, discussion? Ms. Champanay, he wants to say something.
I don't, if this is what you guys want, fine. I still have a couple active businesses and I lose money coming here. And you can't make it up by paying me $500. So I don't care. I only came because I thought I could offer being the Grinch on the board. Somebody has to be the Grinch, and that was me. And so whatever you do, I'm okay with.
Yeah,
But I'm,
We don't even know if we're gonna get approval.
but I think,
I can
I
guarantee
couldn't
you.
believe we got paid.
I can
When
guarantee.
Mr. Claus told me that, I said, well, fantastic.
I had to call and ask for a quote.
It is, but
Right.
I'm not, we have a big budget and I don't, but I don't care and I don't,
I'm gonna say that I honestly didn't know what we got paid. I had to call and ask. And then I know that if we send this down and they approve it, it will probably be that same level 15 to 20 years from now, because that's how it usually works with commissions.
Well, like I said, it's over 12, I know that.
I'm just satisfied with it.
And I'm the
Joe.
short
That's all I
guy,
have to say.
Well, and I'm the short guy too, so.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable with the fact that the county board decides what they want to pay us, because I'm not gonna determine what I get paid, because I'm in the same boat as Alan. I mean, almost I would say the same thing. I didn't get on the board to make money. It's the first board I've ever got paid to be on. I've been on a lot of boards in my life, and I didn't do it for the money. And like Alan said, trust me, every meeting I go to, I'm losing money. This is not a money venture for me being here. I don't actually like the fact that we get paid. I'd rather, I don't know, I'd rather just be an independent body making decisions for it. But the fact that we're not voting on this and it has to go to the board, that's let them decide what that is. That's fine.
We'll come back nowhere, come back different figures. We have no idea.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Kylie, did you say anything about that?
Well, I just,
Chairperson?
okay, so I, if it didn't happen, it's okay. That's where I'm at. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. It's, but at the same time, we do spend time. Sometimes we don't write up our little green sheet there for the per diems. Sometimes we get some nasty emails and I mean, you're getting paid for the grief that you get from, I've got a couple of folks who, on a regular basis, they're good friends. But boy, they got a lot to say now, because they have a friend on the road commission, and it is just as nasty as anything from people who don't like me. So, I mean, it's kind of a self-respect thing too, I think. It isn't a lot. Nobody's getting rich. Nobody pay $8,000 a year, whatever, so.
It was actually Dan's recommendation that we should get paid more in a per diem. I remember you said that. So.
Well, I do recommend. Well, I will say, as a person who's a peer, we've had our ups and downs. It's greatly appreciated to have those special meetings where you can get focus on an issue. And if it's a money loser for you guys, which it is, and it's drawing you away, and it's you should be compensated for those meetings, and you should be compensated to have meetings with townships and maintain those relationships too. And I think the limit of two per month is not necessarily reasonable. I think
Actually, it's not that anymore. Yeah.
So I mean,
But I appreciate that. All right, well,
Send it to the board.
let's send it to the board. So Kylie, I guess since we do have a motion and a second,
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Enris.
Yeah.
Lehman,
can't abstain.
Women.
yes, it's all right. You're fine. Okay, so we have our employees. Congratulations to those. I know you wanted to bring up Brad's as well. Okay.
Talk about it.
Okay.
You're taking care of, theoretically, we take care of everybody in the organization. Is there any feel for
So-
the actual management?
Well, now, we did have, this is gonna kind of have to be on it's not about Brad, it's about the manager's position kind of thing. And we had a general increase of our administrative staff. How much was that increase?
The minimums were 3.
Minimums were 3.6. Since he did just get an increase, maybe, if somebody wanted to set that up, that's roughly about $4,500 a year, or
No, not that much.
aren't you over 100 right now?
Yeah, but if it were 3.6, it's 39.24.
4,000.
Well, that's at the bottom of the scale, and all the other employees were bottom or above. I'm gonna assume, that for a county of this size, that his compensation right now is probably not at the high end of that scale either.
Right.
Is what I'm thinking.
So do you have a suggestion?
We did just, didn't we, in January, we gave them a raise of 8%.
And
I
that's,
don't remember what.
That's what it
percent
was,
7,000.
that's why I said, I made that.
All staff got a raise at that point in time too.
Yes.
So, I mean, he wasn't singled out. I mean, and I don't know what the percentage was, Alan. You said it's 8, I'm gonna guess it could have been.
Well, he knows how much it was.
I don't remember what the percentage was.
I think it was 101 to 109.
So it was just under it.
Versus the percentage. I would be in favor of the percentage that would be the percentage. I'll make a motion that we also include the managing director.
Managing director.
Managing
They
director,
call it
whatever you're
state
calling
level,
it.
yes.
The 3.6%.
That's what we have for the base minimum.
Base minimum salary.
Okay, so you're making a
Make
motion,
the motion that we
increase his by 3.6%. Okay, do we have support for that?
I'll support it.
And then we have Carl for support. Joe and Carl. Any other discussion?
So he doesn't, so I mean, if we just go back to the chart that we just had, right, this one, that's.
Minuscule at best.
He's not actually on there, he's empty.
Yeah, that just says at board discretion. Right. I will say, I have done some. And depending on, it's hard to compare this county to other counties. There are many managers that make much more, but they are in larger counties. There are many managers that make more that are in the similar size counties. Some of them have different experiences. Some of them have been there for a while and make less. So it's really, we are kind of in a unique situation, and I have, like I say, this is not my discussion at this point, but I will say, I enjoy working here, and I do like where we're headed as an organization. So it's not gonna hurt me either way. If you say yes or no, I'm comfortable. I like.
He gets to work with this board, just remember that.
Yeah, come on. What more can I ask for?
My final comment is that this is the final piece to look at the entire organization as we do salary.
I remember I asked you when we started this discussion, I asked you when you got yours. So, well, we have a motion, we have support. Anything else? Really?
Brown,
Yes.
Greengrass,
Yeah.
Lehman.
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we are done with this, at least until next year.
Yes.
All right.
And we will monitor
Then I'll tell
and
them.
give you guys updates of what the job market looks like as we get closer to these.
Okay. That brings us to our budget amendment number 2.
We did that.
We did that, that's okay, that was part of that. Okay, I'm sorry. That was part of the discussion. Plan for an upcoming retreat. Okay. So we started talking about how, I kind of want to talk about how we interface and interact and how we interface and interact with staff. And that's my particular thing. We need to talk, if we could, about some things, maybe some of the policies that affect us directly. But what I'd like to do is set a date. It doesn't have to be this next month. It could be in June or something, but where we sit down on a Saturday, preferably, have lunch, spend 4 hours if possible. You got the big family and everything.
Yes, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be really hard for me. I mean,
Okay.
between,
What would work?
I don't have a weekend from now until July
Okay.
available because I've got 7 kids and I got a kid graduating and there's graduations and there's.
You're not gonna be that busy with her.
I'll tell you.
Let me pull all the dots up that show.
I got more numbers than you do, Kevin.
Can we find a spot in your schedule in the next 6 months where you could let us know and then we can work ours around you? Because I think just about everybody in this room, I mean, we're pretty flexible. I mean, we don't have 8 kids, so.
I mean, I prefer a weekday over a weekend. I can make a weekday work. as long as I schedule it, I can.
Just
do
like
that
being in the office, right?
over than a Saturday.
Like a weekday morning.
I do a whole day. I mean, as long as I have it
I
scheduled.
don't
but-
really-
But the weekends, my family time is
So-
pretty thin as far as being able to have it.
But my idea of this is basically about 4 hours. Any more than 4 hours, it's way too much, okay? But prior to this, you know, if everybody could bring something to talk about, you know, I mean, it's, you know, if you have something, a concern, the way things are going, you might say, you know, this whole process with the money, you know, with the compensation, yeah, we could have done this a little differently, maybe. I mean, it would be a good idea, I think, for us to, as a group, you know, we're not gonna be making decisions, but, you know, as far as what's on the board necessarily, but we would be kind of understanding where we're at. And maybe we do make a decision. If we have to, then we make it a special meeting, and it is that. But what do you, I mean, do you think that would be productive?
I think half a day's fine.
Yeah.
I would like to do it on the day where we have something else, like we're going to the MTA, we're all gonna show up at this township meeting on the 5th, and we're gonna do that. And I'd rather do it before that or after that. It doesn't have to be that occasion.
Well, MTAs is always
They happen, I mean.
once a month. So, I mean, we got every month, we can pick one of those days.
We,
Well, this is the one
this is the one
we-
where we're buying.
I understand that, but MTA is every month, and we're all welcome to go to that.
No, I was just thinking because I'm gonna take that day off.
Oh.
Because I'm gonna go to this lunch and listen to what people have to say.
Right.
Then if it were before that or after that would be convenient for me, but I'm willing to be flexible.
Well,
I can pretty much make mine work.
I think we're pretty much the most flexible. I mean, if you'd like to,
I think it's more of these two guys.
Yeah.
That work, you know.
Yeah, I really don't have free weekend. I mean, and then when I do have a Saturday, I want to have a Saturday,
Sure.
like one in a 2-month period that I can like mow my yard or do something like I don't know how some of the stuff's gonna get done. So it is easier for me to schedule my work day because it doesn't affect kids and my wife having to juggle 7 other kids and getting them doing what they're doing. So if I don't care, just pick a day and I can block out my calendar and be here.
Do something in June.
okay, let's do something in June.
Pick something in,
Uh,
somebody pick something
Yeah,
in June.
yeah, pick a day.
I was gonna say,
You wanna-
these,
As I say, if you guys wanted to do it before the board meeting, we could set it up so that we could just close this room down for the whole day. Have you guys come here and we could actually, if you want, we can pick up lunch and have lunch sitting here when you guys get here and you guys could take that. And if you put it maybe a little bit later, you know, you'd be at like 2 o'clock type thing and go 2 to 6, give you an hour in between that, or if you go over a little bit before the 7 o'clock start of the board meeting. And then we could take care of making sure you guys have, you know,
So do it on
Refreshments.
a Thursday then, the June meeting.
23rd.
Started at 2 o'clock and then we take a break, you know, stretch our legs, whatever we have to do. But we could have some snacks or something here, I think. for that.
I'm kind of thinking too, Brad, that we could do an update meeting, all organization wide, maybe towards the end, and that could be like a little break. You guys could collectively meet everybody all together. We could tie that in.
that'd be all right.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Little HR thing going, so.
Yeah.
All right, right on top of that. All right, so
2 o'clock, June 23rd.
so what it is, 23rd, is it June? June is 23rd, okay. Awesome. Yeah, and just like I say, I mean, when I say I envision, I just think of some things. I mean, how we're dealing with the townships, where our priorities are perhaps. You know, what each of us thinks where we should be going in any particular area as far as dealing with Brad. Something. So.
So I'm not invited.
I don't, you know, it's gotta be, if we're making any decisions, it has to be public, so what.
It's gotta be a posted meeting.
It has to be a posted meeting. It's
We're
a
not
special
gonna make
meeting.
any decisions.
No? Okay,
We're just gonna chat.
we're gonna chat. Okay.
So it's be open.
It would have to be
It
open.
still has to be open.
Yeah, it'd have to be a work.
Even if it's just for 5 of us,
Yeah,
it still
yeah,
has to be
that's
open.
true.
Because we're all together, but no decisions.
Yeah, so it'd be a working
So we
session. No one
can
ever
make our
comes to the
decisions
working
at the
sessions
7 o'clock
anyway.
meeting.
Correct, absolutely. Yeah.
Something comes out.
Cool,
Absolutely.
cool.
Okay.
All right, that brings us to our manager's comments.
No,
Nope. Oh, blue sheet, no, yeah. Sneaky old blue sheet down there, slope
yeah, so
restoration.
this one is simply a pass-through project. We would have had it for the special meeting, but that changed some things last minute, and so we ended up having to restructure it. We now have bids in, and we're recommending that we award it to Elmer's Crane and Dozer. You can see there's also the second sheet where.
You didn't even have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion.
Good.
That we award the contract to Elmer's Crane and Dozer for the non-restoration, which is a pass-through contract for $68,576, more or less.
Second.
Joe, man, you're too fast.
So we go out of that one?
Yeah, he was just winding, he was winding
We're
up
not,
his
we don't,
sheet.
it's
a
it's all done.
It's done. It's a done deal.
And
Absolutely.
he
Charlie?
even had a couple bits.
Exactly.
Andres,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes. Okay, manager's comments.
Okay, well, we do have some changes in staff. We have moved one of our crew members up to be our second signal tech to help out with Haley. Getting our scoot system up and running. And we are gonna be implementing some things, as you noticed, probably the intersection at Barlow Lafreniere Airport is now up and running again. That was one we had scheduled, but was delayed.
That was one of those I'm gonna get a pay raise for.
So, but we now have the people that we can have getting out there. We're looking to talk at some point here in the near future with the city to bring something forth to you as a board to potentially take over maintenance of all their signals also, in which case they would be paying for a full body basically.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for some
Yeah,
time.
and it's been trying to get our stuff
Yeah.
to 100%.
She's ready
We're
for that.
She's getting very close, yeah, we're definitely, we're now into some last rebuilds that need to be done, and we're gonna hopefully be going live with Scoot on Airport 100% soon. And then we'll have the next one up over by West High School and West Middle School.
What do we have to do to not have that happen again? I mean, do we have to have a whole kit set?
Well, the problem with that one is that what it was, that happened due to high winds. And what happened with it, the cabling that was up there, the electrical cabling actually shorted out. And so we thought we had it fixed when they fixed it the first time, but then the next high wind was enough to cause another, and it actually fused wires together. So we had to bypass things to get it just to actually function on a four-way. And the problem was, like I said, that was something that we were supposed to have done over the winter, but based on supply chain stuff, we had serious delays on things. And now that they're doing it, you know, they're up and running. We've got the new cabinet in place and everything as per the bid that you approved previously.
Do we send out media advisements when stuff like that happens?
Oh, yes.
I didn't hear.
That's all.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, in fact, he was on the radio too. I heard
I heard
missed that.
I heard on the radio too.
talking to Vic.
Just want to make sure.
And then
I
I,
got most calls I've gotten since I've been on the board.
yeah, and then I had a concerned
Including county
citizen
people.
call thinking that we weren't gonna work on it because of the weekday that it happened and gonna wait till Monday. And I said, no, that's not the case. I says, it was scheduled to happen. And then I got back with that person today or yesterday. Was it today that
It went live this morning.
This morning. I sent him a text this morning and he replied right back, just happy as could be that, and understood, you know, that it was
It's a
not.
major rebuild.
That's what I told him. I says, that cabinet was done. I says.
Everything out there has been pretty much replaced. They still have a lot of little things to be done, but we're working on it.
The only one, and I'll just chime in just for a second when we're talking about cabinets, but that same guy seemed to think we still had some issues up here at Brimley.
Yes.
Certain times a day.
Yes.
Okay.
we had a real major malfunction there that the conflict monitor didn't even pick up on. In fact, Phil, didn't you have pictures where it had
Overheard. Somebody posted a video and it's like the red light was
flat, the red light was flat, it was
solid,
flat,
the yellow was flashing and there was a.
and the green arrow was on. And that's never supposed to be able to happen. The conflict monitor are supposed to stop that from happening.
So you're aware of the problem.
But yes, and a lot of parts have been replaced there.
Are we still
I did
disabling
my job.
that after 2 o'clock or?
We leave it on.
It's fun watching it though.
Oh, I
That's
stay
almost
away.
fun. I just assumed there was a
As
stop.
chaotic
sign.
as it was, like you, me, you, or Mike, okay, this guy's going. The wait time getting through that signal was no different than when it works.
Not really.
Perhaps better.
It's no joke. It moved traffic through.
But you have to-
South Airport Road, even though. getting across
Everybody's just kind of doing their
intersection
thing.
was
It's
a
like,
little
okay, this
scary,
works.
But
Traffic.
wait times at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I drive that road, plenty for work and I was like, oh man, the light's out. I'm thinking like, it wasn't so bad. I don't know.
Well, go this way.
Traffic.
It's not- Saves coming back. It's a little different.
Traffic volumes on there were reduced during this time.
Well, yeah, I guess.
So people were avoiding it. So, it was. I went through it and it didn't bother me, so. All right. So
Are
we
you
have that.
done?
No, I have a couple other things. We have hired the engineers we talked about, and we've also hired our second IT person to help get our crews up and running. And she is going to be doing a lot of GIS stuff for us, as well as a lot of computer support. We are very, very close to seeing all of this stuff go live. And Larry's, yes, he's working on the computer app. And so we're gonna be dealing with having people out there with their phone, being able to register requests from us. So we are slowly but surely, we are starting to find some bodies. But we do need this, we're still pursuing one higher end engineer to replace what we had as a lower tier engineer in the past. So we're looking to still fill that and one technician. We have had meetings with 5 townships so far. Of the 13 townships, 10 responded that they wanted to meet with us. 3 did not respond or did not want to meet. So we have met with 5. So far, the results have been overwhelmingly positive. They're very happy with the additional communication and some of the things we're talking about. So with the new program in place, we're starting to see some interest in them saying, okay, well, how long is it going to take us to be able to get this on the schedule? How long is it going to take us and how much is it going to cost us to do this? So they've all been very positive. We met first with Fife Lake, then we met with Peninsula, then we met with Long Lake. And then this week we've met with Grant and Mayfield. And all 5 of them have been very positive about the changes that are coming. And it's what they're seeing from us as far as the communication back and forth and getting them something where they can actually view their individual townships road condition map online. So, and Larry's been working a lot of hours trying to put together these individual township packages. So I have to thank him for that. It's come off very smoothly and we've got a lot of happier townships now than we've had. I think some of them came in with a little bit of a negative perception, but we've definitely got some things working well towards that. And that is all I have for tonight.
Joe?
No, I think we're fine.
I guess I do, just real briefly, on the traffic signaling tech that and discussion about taking on the cities, is that correct?
Yeah.
My concern is if we enter into a contract agreement with them, that we have the ability, number one, to have enough staff to take care of that and retain that staff. Because that is, that's the issue we're having right now.
Yes.
And just
And
making.
this is something that Marty and I have talked about it a little bit, and he realizes we're still probably a year and a half out before we'd even be talking about this. But we need to start putting these pieces in motion to say, what does it mean? And they're gonna have to pay for an entire network inventory to see what's out there and give that to us before we can even take it on,
Sure.
because otherwise,
Well, you don't know what you're
yeah,
getting.
we don't know what we're getting and we don't know what the
Right.
condition is of them. So
Right.
they're gonna have to have.
I'm gonna
that
guess
done.
theirs are aged out too,
Oh, there's our ancient.
and I'm sure.
Theirs were 3 generations before us, before we upgraded 2 generations.
Right.
So, I mean,
I'm still running out of dial.
no, they did replace that.
Okay. Well, that wouldn't have surprised me, some of being that old, so
So, yeah, that one has been replaced.
that's it for me.
One on a hamster wheel.
Yes.
The only thing I have is, I wanted to maybe say something during the, when we approved the minutes. I wanted to tell Kylie that I thought she did a really good job capturing our discussion, even though we disagreed and we didn't all vote unanimously on something. I thought you did a good job capturing our discussion of the special meeting. And I wanted to, I know we've had somebody in here complaining about things. People always complain, there's a lot of good things going on. My comment to you was that you did a nice synopsis of what we discussed.
I agree. That's it. The only thing, so Larry, you're gonna have a trainee, so to speak, right?
So to speak.
Is that person gonna be working website wise?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she's very good. She's got a lot of experience and she's coming right out of college, but she's got a lot of experience. She was one of our interns from last summer. So I was able to train her last summer and she's really gonna be up to speed and hit the ground running.
Other than the app, which I'm just chomping at the bit to use, I'm gonna be driving around picking up potholes, you know? So other than that, one other thing I think would be kind of cool if we could implement it. I don't know, I mean, if we have anything that, but maybe something as a part of the website where, so you want to do this, okay? So you want to start an SAD. Here's the flow chart. This is how it's going to go, and this is where we're going to be.
Sure.
Maybe even, you know, so you want to complain about your road. This is what you expect. Or so you want to change policy, you know, or board policy on how we do this. Maybe it'd be kind of informational. That way people can kind of feel like they can have a little more input and they know where to go on it.
And we are working with Civic Plus, who is the one that does the county's website as well as ours. And we are looking at a total rebuild of our website because it's very unfriendly.
It's a little in front. And the other thing it does though, is something like that, I think it would help somebody like Kylie or frankly Wayne, who we pay. I mean, he's explaining how to do this stuff to people who are trying to do an SAD. Well, a half an hour of his time is a lot, is worth a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And we have there's a lot of things, and we're gonna be bringing forth here in the next couple of meetings, some types of websites that Civic Plus does in the ballpark costs, so that you guys can look at them, and then we'll give you the list to go through some of the things we like, and then you guys can look at those too. Maybe it'll be before the June meeting, and you can talk about it in your June meeting. Bill.
Okay, that brings us to our last public comment. Anybody want to step up and yell at us? Okay. Seeing no yelling. Motion to adjourn. Alan, we're adjourned.
We get a